I promised you that we, at some point, we are going to bring in a very special guest to help us break down what Michigan might be this year, what they are throughout the season. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to welcome on former Michigan quarterback Jack Tuttle on this episode of Locked On Wolverines.
You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Thursday. We are back and doing it. Locked On Wolverines podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I'm your man on the ground, Isaiah Hole, publisher of Wolverines Wire through USA Today Sports Media Group. But over to my side, much more importantly, that's former Michigan quarterback Jack Tuttle. Jack, let's get into it, man. I'm excited to have you. We're going to do this all season.
Let's go. I'm super excited to be here with you. It's a great opportunity, and it's going to be a great season.
Well, first, because I think there's going to be a lot of confusion straight out the gates, so we have to address this. People are probably sitting there and questioning, because they're like, I thought that Jack was a coach for Michigan. How is he going on? And the answer to that, I'll just share, is Michigan doesn't know you're doing this. You are actually the coach. No, I'm just kidding. Tell us what you want to be in the media. So like things have kind of changed from what people know out in the ethos. So tell us just a little bit about like your trajectory at this point.
Yeah. So I've been with the team for the past 7-8 months, coaching, assistant receivers coach. And it was a blessing to be with the kids. And I got to love them and know them so well, especially the transfers, the freshmen. So it was hard to step away. There's no doubt about it. But, I got an opportunity with Fox Sports and some other networks, and broadcasting has always been a big goal of mine, big dream of mine ever since I was young. And we're gonna go for it. We're gonna attack it. So super excited to do that and be on the show with you.
Well, where I could call you like, new Jake Butt, new Trente Jones, new Devin Gardner, we're going to actually retrofit it. And I'm going to start calling all of them old Jack Tuttle. That's what they are. So excited to start getting into it. So Jack, I think the first thing that we have to get into here is Michigan started fall camp right yesterday. This is your first time not being in a fall camp for a long time. And that has to be both like, in a way, just kind of like a little bittersweet. But at the same time, I'm sure you're also extremely excited to not have to go through that grind. Tell people like, what is it about fall camp? Like, I don't think the average layman understands how important it is, but also how grueling it is. So like, when you try to like analyze like the importance of fall camp and how a team is actually kind of fleshed out, and this is kind of like I'm kind of going too much into a bunch of tangents here, but how important is it and how hard is it is basically what I'm getting at.
Yeah, no doubt. So you're right. This is probably the first time in 17 something years that I haven't been in some type of camp in August. And it is weird. It's super weird so far, but it's been a good change. And I would say the most, grueling and tough part about fall camp is just the daily schedule. So guys are waking up around 6 a.m. and going till probably about like 9:30. And then you get back to the hotel and you get in bed and it's about 10:30, 10:15. And you don't get very much time to kind of decompress. You really just need to go straight to sleep because you got to wake up the next morning at 6 a.m. and do it all over again. And you got walkthroughs, you got practice, you got 3-hour-long meetings. It's for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and it's just a grind. And you're in a hotel together. You're seeing the same people every day. It gets very, very repetitive to say the least. So it's Groundhog Day pretty much. And I will tell you this, it's important because the first week, everyone comes out with energy. Everyone comes out, I want to win, want to be the starter, want to be the guy. But you get into the third week. It's a Wednesday. It's 12 o'clock. It's a hot practice. Who's going to step up? Who's going to be the guy? And that's what separates people in fall camp and what makes people great. And you'll see those guys emerge this season. Whether it's week 1, week 2, week 3, those guys will step up and help this team win.
I think that, like, what's interesting to me, and one of the kind of narratives that I discuss on this show quite often, is that idea of the emerging player. But sometimes there's just like those almost like fool's gold, right? Well before your time. I was going to make an age joke because that was like the standard thing. But listen, I am older than you.
Yeah.
But you have also been in college football for 35 years. But back in like 2011, Michigan opened the season with Western Michigan, and Brandon Herron had 2 pick sixes. And it just kind of is like, wow, this is ESPN is, like, we should all be looking out for Brandon Herron. Apparently they've got a star. And then we never heard from him again. So, but then there's, you see kind of the flip side of guys who don't necessarily like assert themselves early. And then like by mid-season, they're a household name. How does that kind of work? Do you see guys kind of starting to emerge, or like, are they already like, was a Brandon Herron type already like playing really well in fall camp, would you think? And then like had the good game, but it just didn't continue to go through, or was it like, I don't know if I'm asking this correctly, but
I totally get what you're saying. And it really comes down to consistency, because whether it's on offense or defense, the coaches are going to put the most consistent players, the guys they trust, into the position to make plays, whether it's on offense or defense. So maybe that first week, he was the guy they trusted the most, and something happened. Maybe not. Maybe the ball just didn't come his way. It's really just game plan specific sometimes. But I will say, the guys who press on and keep being consistent every single day, just like that third week of fall camp, those are the guys that most of the time emerge and play at a high level. And it'll be cool to see who that is this year. Looking forward to doing that.
It's kind of like the Cornelius Johnson would always, every single press conference, every single one, the idea of the difference between State Street and Main Street. It's like you knew it was going to turn noon and midnight on a certain day, right? Like, that the clock is going to be right. And you also could count on Cornelius Johnson bringing up the State Street, Main Street thing.
Exactly.
Jack, we're going to continue on. We're going to start getting into the offensive aspect of the team. And I know you're excited to dig into that. And we're going to do that here in just a moment. But before we do, if you're trying to stay on top of your routine, whether that's workouts, long days on campus, or staying focused through back-to-back classes, hydration is where it all starts. That's where DripDrop comes in. DripDrop is doctor-developed and scientifically proven for fast hydration. It uses the perfect balance of sodium, electrolytes, and glucose to help your body absorb fluids quickly, delivering 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of a leading sports drink. My go-to flavors are cherry limeade. It's a game changer after a workout, and since I just started running, I need it more than anything. Or even just on those busy days, right? Like, we're busy with fall camp, just like the players are. So right now, DripDrop is offering Locked On listeners 20% off of your first order. Just head to DripDrop.com and use the promo code LockedOnCollege. That's DripDrop.com with the promo code LockedOnCollege for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard. All right, Jack, let's get into the offense, something that you might know a little something about. Right now, there were some different things about your time at Michigan, and I don't think we are singularly a show that has been hard on you, because I think everyone's been hard on the quarterback group. And there's a myriad of things, right? Like we had projected you as a starter, but you had some injury issues, right?
Yep.
So like, some people know that and some people don't know that, but the guard is kind of changing and there's a lot of excitement about what is to come. And obviously there's a change in coordinator. You got to be around Chip Lindsey a little bit. There's some quarterbacks that are going to be different. We're all excited about the Jake Garcia era. I'm kidding here, but like obviously Michigan did bring him in, but he's not the name that everyone is that's on everyone's lips here. How much better, just in general, can both the quarterback room be and the offense with a new offensive coordinator, do you think? How much can change in 1 year?
I think a lot can change, and it really starts out with health of the quarterback room and depth. I think last year we had 2-3 QBs like healthy going into spring. There was some issues going on, and I wasn't healthy at all going into that. Really, like you said, like I was hurt going into last year. Didn't do spring ball, didn't do fall camp, and didn't do any practice during the season until the Washington week, or maybe one prior before that. So the week I played in the Washington game was the first time I practiced since the national championship, essentially. And that kind of just showed me, health of the quarterback room is super important. And you got to have numbers, which they do this year. And they're doing a great job progressing through spring. Those guys got so many reps. And Jake Garcia, obviously the new addition, and Mikey Keene, obviously, too. Those guys have done a beautiful job this summer just attacking the process and, really preparing themselves for any situation this year, whether the starter, not starter. All of them have been super great, and Bryce has been good. Jaden's been attacking the process as well. Davis is attacking his rehab. He's getting closer every single day. So super excited for those guys.
With the change in offensive coordinator, because that's one of those things. Listen, I'm not saying anything here that I haven't said to Kirk Campbell's face. That, like I've talked to Kirk Campbell. He knows that I've been harsh on him, but I praised him when he deserved the praise. Right? He is aware that the season didn't work out the way that he had hoped. But Chip Lindsey he's a different coordinator, but they're going to kind of keep some, Sharon Moore's vision. Right. Like, I don't think that people are necessarily understanding that, like, this is a guy, and you've been around him now for, a few months here, but this is a guy that's done it just place after place after place, whether it was UCF or Auburn or Southern Miss. Like he's been a lot of places and he's done it. How much do you think just even having that experienced coordinator is going to help the offense as a whole?
I definitely think it's going to help the offense. He brings kind of a different mindset than the usual Michigan offensive identity. We've seen just pound the rock, run the ball. He's a little bit different. He's done some more passing stuff, and it's going to be a really good mix of both. And I've seen it. I'm super excited to see more of it this year. And I think he just brings this confidence with him, Coach Lindsey. And it just gives the whole offense so much confidence and really just trust in him that he's going to call the right play and that they know whatever he calls, they're going to go out on the field and execute and get the job done, essentially.
Obviously, the name that's on everyone's lips is Bryce Underwood. And I was just, right before we started this, I was finishing up an article. Matt Berry on ESPN was talking about Bryce, and he was a little bit more excited about him than I think you see just from a national perspective, because you see a lot of people saying he's a true freshman, and true freshmen are going to make mistakes, which is a true thing because, as you know, you get better at football by playing football. But at the same time, like, based off of, like, everyone on this show knows how close I am with Connor. And, when he got back from his first Belleville practice, keeping in mind that at that time, Bryce was still committed to LSU. It was not a sure thing that he was going to end up at Michigan. But he's like, you don't understand. This guy is the real deal. He innately gets things that takes people years to get to be able to grasp. And he's got also a thirst for football that I haven't really seen out of a player that's that young. Are there concerns for you that Bryce is going to have, if he is named the starter? I understand Michigan likes to say they're like, well, it's a battle between Bryce and Jaden Davis and Mikey Keene. Now that he's healthy, we might bring Jack Tuttle back for a 15th year. Yeah, you Isaiah, you could be the quarterback if you show up to camp at the right time. I understand that they try to modulate these things, by the way, I have a cannon for an arm when it comes to baseball, but not for football. So,
all right.
But are those concerns legitimate? That I see a lot of projections out there that are I think the best you can expect for Bryce is 2,400 yards, 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I think that's short selling his capability. What do you think about what his potential might be if he is named the starter as a true freshman?
Like you said, I would say it's hard to measure that right now because the sky's the limit for that kid. When I saw him for the first time, I think it was January, February, throw the ball. I've seen quite a bit of QBs throw the ball. I've seen Trevor Lawrence. I was at the opening 50 years ago with him, and Justin Fields. I've seen all those guys. That was my class. So I've seen a lot of good football throwers, and I've been with Mike Penix at Indiana, obviously JJ McCarthy here at Michigan. And I would say Bryce is at the top with the best of them and probably throws it better than a lot of those guys, which is scary to say, to be honest, because he's so young. And like I said before, the sky is the limit with him. And I know, kind of like I said before earlier in the podcast, that the coaches are going to do whatever it takes to win. So if that means throwing the ball 40 times a game to win, the ball is going to be thrown 40 times a game to win, which is just going to increase his season stat line. And maybe they're better at running the ball this year. So we're just going to have to see in what kind of strategy, that offense kind of takes on each game. And kind of like I said, sky's the limit for him.
Well, I do have one more question offensively, and then we'll move on briefly to defense, and then we'll get you out of here. But we're going to do that here in just a moment. All right, Jack, we got to eventually, we always like to have a nickname. We got to come up with a nickname for you for the show. Your media nickname, or at least your lead in. So we got to start thinking about that. I don't have it right off the top here, but it's I don't even remember.
A lot of people call me Tut. If you just call me Tut, I don't know if that's a nickname, but
no, I mean a media nickname. I don't remember what I used to call Jake, but when we did the show, there was something. I think it might have just been the All-American or something like that. But now I call him Captain America. Okay. I'm the man. I'm your man on the ground, right? Because I take pictures and I'm usually at everything. So we've got to figure that out. That's not pressing. We don't have to do this in the show. I'm just coming out of the break. I'm like, yeah, we gotta figure something out.
I like it.
But all right. So there's no one, I don't think, and I might be overstating it, I don't think that I am, that knows Donaven McCulley better than you do, right? Because you were in a quarterback room with Donaven. You also were throwing to him as an Indiana quarterback. And then you were coaching him because he came to Michigan. And so I think it's safe to say that you're relatively close to Donaven McCulley. And Michigan, if you listen to what Sharon Moore and everyone says, Ron Bellamy, all of these people, it's evident to me that there's a lot of excitement about what he can do now that he's a Wolverine. But when you listen to like the national narrative, it's Michigan has no receivers. No one has ever done it. And they just kind of push Donaven to the wayside. I just, as someone who knows him, how wrong are they? And I know that's a loaded question, but I know they're wrong. How wrong are those national narratives?
I'm pretty biased, but I would say they're straight up wrong. They're straight up wrong. Donaven McCulley is so physically gifted, and he automatically stepped on the field in spring and just became one of the best athletes on the field. He dominated, he did his job, and then some. And I was super proud of him for how kind of consistent he was throughout the spring. And he's going to have to carry that into fall camp. And like you said, we have a good relationship. So, I've known him from Indiana 2021 when he played quarterback and he stepped on the field at Michigan. I broke my foot the week before. He came to Ann Arbor. He was the quarterback in 2021 against you guys. And I think he ran for a touchdown, but they got crushed. And then the next year, he switched to receiver, started building up, becoming more consistent, played well in 2023, I believe. And then, kind of had the offseason, got hurt a little bit, and now has cemented himself and is going to keep cementing himself as the best receiver on the field in practice, but also in games this season. So texts have been sent off for sure to Donaven a couple of days ago. Hey, it's time to lock in, man. This is the season right here. It's time for you to dominate. So that's like my brother right there. And the push is gonna keep going for him.
Well, I'm excited because that's the one. He and Anthony Simpson are the known commodities. They're unknown to many of us, but they're the two that have the most prolific seasons thus far that are on that roster is from the wide receiver position. So defensively, I'm curious just from a overarching idea, because obviously we're not going to throughout the season just solely look on the offense, but defensively, I am of the belief that it would be one thing if we saw a little bit of role reversal going at the end of 2024, where let's say, Michigan, everything happens the way it did against Ohio State, but in the ReliaQuest Bowl, let's say it was Alabama being we're going to sit half of our team and, you're going to be going up against Ty Simpson, who's getting his first time. You're going to be going up against, our fourth string running back because no Jam Miller and Justice Haynes is already transferred out. You're going to be going up against our B team, essentially. And Michigan's no, we're bringing Mason Graham. We're bringing Kenneth Grant. We're bringing Josiah Stewart. We're bringing Will Johnson. That wasn't the case, though. It was the other way around. You had Alabama's A team versus, in a lot of ways, what would have been considered throughout the season Michigan's B team on defense. To me, the way that I look at that is if those guys that we saw were able to do that against that Alabama offense, which had been stellar pretty much all year long, minus against Oklahoma, that we should see something of a continuation. Now, I understand it's a new year. Ernest Hausman said that at Big Ten Media Days, we can't rest on that game. But how confident are you? Because, again, the national narrative is how can, Michigan's going to take a big step back on defense because they no longer have those players. But we've already gotten one litmus test where we saw those the players that we're going to see now go up against high level opponents and dominate. So how confident are you in this defense's ability to reload? Or do you still think it's going to take some time to kind of get everything to gel? What are your thoughts about the possibility that Michigan could have a top defense again this year?
I'll tell you what, I am super confident in a couple things on defense. What at Michigan is always pretty stout. What at Michigan is always kind of reloaded. It's the D-line. The D-line looks great. They're a bunch of bruisers, and they have really been kind of leading that defense over the course of the offseason. And I'm super excited to see them in action. Man, those guys there's some bruisers, like I said. The linebackers and DBs kind of those guys have reloaded too. I think the safety group is one of the deepest in the country. Those guys are super gifted physically, super fast and smart. We have Rod Moore obviously coming back. I'm super excited for him. He's looked great. He's been running the past couple, I think just the past month. He's going to kind of ease his way into it. We'll see how he looks. But, man, I'm super excited for Rod to come back. Obviously, he's going to lead that defense. And I think they definitely have the potential to be a top 10 defense this year in the country. So
I know that there's some optimism. Like, I've talked to some people that you know personally, people that everyone watching or listening to the show who they know the name of, but like there is like a belief inside that building that this might be the best front seven in the country. And I don't think a lot of people understand like how good some of those guys who we've only seen kind of momentarily get in there, like a Trey Pierce, or, that safety room's insane too, but just like the linebacking core and all of it, I'm just uber confident. But anyway, last thing, Jack, tell us all your trade secrets. Tell us all the stuff now. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to.
Right.
I figured it was a good way to make you feel uncomfortable for just a second because it's your first show, but nonetheless, like tell us some things that Michigan doesn't want anybody to know. No, we're not doing that.
Gotta hold out for my guys.
Yeah. That's Jack Tuttle. We'll come up with a nickname for him at some point, but we appreciate you coming on, and I'm looking forward to doing this all season. We'll eventually ramp it up and, have not just one, maybe two, as we start to break down what is actually happening when games get here. Games are coming up in less than a month, which is unreal to me. But Jack, thank you so much, man.
It was awesome. I can't wait for this season.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for today. Tomorrow, we're going to do the mailbag. Understand that there's going to be an earlier call for questions and earlier cutoff as a result. So be on the lookout for that. Regardless, that's Jack Tuttle. I'm Isaiah Hole. Thanks for watching, and thank you for listening. We'll talk to you again soon. Peace.